What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode, doing a live stream. We're going to talk about financial markets, what's going on from a macroeconomic level. Also want to fill you in on that I actually bought a stock, which is pretty crazy. Finally started deploying some of my own capital, so I guess we can just start right there. Actually, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Just want to make sure the audio and stuff's working. Got my invest hat on to match the fact that I'm buying stocks. So yeah, in a crisis like this, when any... is the audio okay? Awesome. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So, anytime there's a crisis like this, I always want to make a list of like what companies I would buy, like a wish list of what I'm interested in when the markets are crashing, when the price is right. And so for me, that company was Peloton. I know a bunch of people are gonna be like, oh, I didn't, Tesla. I own so much Tesla, I haven't sold any. I'm hoping to buy more Tesla. I'm kind of waiting for it to fall more. But so I have my wish list of companies, and then I slowly want to start deploying that capital. And so I only deployed about 5% of my like available capital right now. I have a little bit of dry powder, which I'm like waiting to plow into the market, but I just want to make sure the valuation is where I want it to be. And I finally felt like we're down about 30% from the highs. Things have been getting really bad. There's been the data of this, I'm going to call it illness 19 so I don't get demonetized, is coming out more and more, and we're having an explosion of cases. A lot of that I think is because testing is becoming more available, so that's skewing some of the data. But also the deaths are really bad, like Italy. I'm half Italian, my whole family's from Italy, so it's crazy what's going on there. Like 800 people are dying per day, or almost died yesterday. So I don't know. It's just really scary. But on one level, there's like this massive crisis, but on the other level, I'm also thinking like reasonably, like we've taken a huge haircut already. I think a lot of fear and panic has been priced in. I think we will get through this. There will be a new normal, but business is not going to stop. The world's not going to end completely. At least I hope not. And so that's why for me, I thought it was personally time to start deploying my capital. I hate to buy on like a Friday just because over the weekend I knew cases were going to spike. But yeah, I just felt like now is the time to start deploying my capital. You're never at least in history, in a market crash, if we were down 30% and you started buying, you would have had amazing timing every single time. So using that rule, knowing that I spend half of my time like researching this illness, like freaking out, trying to understand the economic implications. There's an amazing podcast out with Chamath and Jason Calacanis, who actually has been on Hyperchange. He's awesome. Shout out to Jason. But he has a new podcast with Chamath and this other guy called like Friedberg or something. They just put out called All In on YouTube. You guys should search it. It is unbelievable. They break down the Corona thing. I shouldn't have said it, but they break down the whole situation, and I was listening to it this morning, and I think things are going to get better. Like we're going to reach this sort of normal. People realize, okay, this sort of self-isolation is working. We've contained the issue, and then the new cases will start to drop, and then I think people will start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, like what seems to be happening in China and Korea, some other places where they got on this earlier. And then I think the economics will recover, markets will recover, people will start to get more optimistic, and I think that could, like the markets are always forward thinking and they hate uncertainty. I think we're getting close to peak uncertainty, frankly, even though like the damage and fallout will continue. The markets is trying to price that in, and I think has priced in a significant hit to Q1 and Q2 and maybe even Q3 earnings already. But the government stepping in, it looks like a bunch of us Americans might be getting checks sent to us, which is crazy. But yeah, so anyway, let's talk about Peloton. Enough about my ideas on markets. I could be totally wrong. As I was making the title of this video, like I bought a stock, I was like, man, if the market crashes another 20%, which I totally think is possible, then this is gonna look so dumb, but whatever. But I do think there is a huge risk that the market continues to crash, which is why I only deployed 5% of my capital, but I deployed it into a company, Peloton, which I think is in a very unique situation, sort of like Zoom, where Zoom is benefiting from this new normal and this trend. I think Peloton in many ways is actually also potentially going to benefit because people are going to stay at home. They're going to improve their work from home setups. I think this new normal, all the gyms are closed. Everyone knows that. But I think this new normal is really going to have people improve their home working situation. I think a greater percentage of people will work from home. That will expand, like structurally expand the market for Peloton long term. So I think that is a huge thing that's going on for Peloton. Amazing product. I don't personally own one because I'm not going to spend like thousands of dollars on a bike. I think it's super like expensive technology for the luxury segment of the market right now. They're going to bring that down. But the people who I do know who have Pelotons, who I've talked to, love the product. They sign up for the classes. It's getting them to work out. Like my cousin Josh, shout out to Josh. He's like, he loves his Peloton bike. And so I think, and I've noticed in the data when I was researching them, they have this like product where they not only sell you this bike or the treadmill they also have, but they sell you this subscription to like classes, SaaS model, that people sign up for, and you can take these classes, and like they seem super fun. I don't know, people like it. And the growth of that is like 96%. So that shows me that people are still using these devices. There's really good engagement. I actually put a link below. If you want to follow along on Peloton's most recent shareholder letter, you should click that, and then you can follow along, which I'm looking at right here to go through some of this data with you. Connected fitness subscribers is what they refer to as those digital content, these subscribers who, you know, get that class package, 712,000, up 96%. So that's a huge piece of Peloton's business. We've actually added them to hypercharts as well. So you can check them out there, and you can see the breakdown of that booming SaaS business that's pairing along with this hardware business. I think long-term, this has potential to have really high margins. They're losing about 200 million last year. I think but they're growing like 70%, or I think they grew over 100%. They're projecting about 70% growth this year to about 1.5 billion in revenue or so, for a company that's trading around 6.5 billion where I bought it. They also have $1 billion in cash. So you're looking at about 4 times sales, or this year's sales, you know, but then if you back out the cash, it's like 3 times this year's sales for a company that's growing 70%, that I think has a real, sorry, Kevin's trying to live stream me. If that gets interrupted, it's because I got a phone call. But yeah, anyway, the point is, I think Peloton, I think they're just scratching the surface. I think they're going to make this technology cheaper and cheaper, bring it to the masses, release more and more products. Like they just released this treadmill. Originally, they just had the bike. Now they have the treadmill. Huge expansion of their addressable market opportunity. Yes, they did just stop deliveries of the treadmill, but that's only temporary. But I think that just shows you where Peloton's head at, how they're thinking about innovating. This idea of like, we're humans, we need to exercise. That's something that every single human needs. And that's a problem that I think humans need to get better and better at dealing with. Is we work inside, we're on computers all day. How do we stay healthy? How do we stay active? How do we do it in a fun way? Peloton's actually starting to crack the code on that. Yes, it's only for luxury, you know, wealthy consumers right now. I think they're going to bring down their price point while creating more products, addressing more verticals. In short, what I'm saying is I think Peloton could 10x their revenue from 1.5 billion today to, you know, 10, 15 billion, even still pretty staying as like an elite premium brand. And in that scenario, I think the equity value goes from 6 billion to like, I even think $50 billion or more in a couple years if they can actually like execute and knock it out of the park on this bull case. So I see Peloton's upside at 8 to 10x over 3 to 5 years. And remember, nothing I'm saying is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm never telling people like buy this stock, or not my thing. I'm just open sourcing my investment philosophy. But I think, so I started buying Peloton. I'm like hoping the stock crumbles more so I can buy more. But I think valuation, not that expensive. Product is amazing. Huge addressable opportunity for growth in the long term at a very reasonable valuation from a price sales basis. Rapid growth. Additionally, you have this tailwind. The stock has taken a hit with the market here. It did have a couple updates, but overall it's taken a huge hit, when I think the reality is a lot of people are just going to order Peloton bikes who wouldn't have because of this situation. I know other people who have Pelotons that signed up for the subscription service now because they want to take classes because they're stuck inside all day. So I think there is actually going to be an uptick in business from Peloton because of all this. So yes, Peloton is on hypercharts. I should have put that link. You can go to hypercharts.co/PTON, which is their ticker. So yeah, that is what it is. I'm a Peloton shareholder. I'm pumped. If anyone knows anyone who works at Peloton, please help me out to get in touch with their IR team. I want to get them like on Say, you know, taking questions from retail shareholders, like, I don't know, open up a dialogue. They just IPO'd. Really, if anyone knows anyone at Peloton, please shoot me an email to try and get me an intro. I hit them up, but I haven't heard anything. But yeah, so I think Peloton has a huge potential right now. Yeah, any other questions on that? I'm going to do a full video on Peloton that I'll release with, like, I go through all the charts, my projections, much more in depth about the company. But I just wanted to let people know, because I've been saying like, I won't buy stocks. I'm holding off on everything, but now my mentality's changed a little bit. Huge hit in the markets, re-rating, everything's down, everything's cheaper. A lot of good businesses are starting to look on sale. And so I'm hoping if the market, you know, in a perfect world, the way I'm positioning my portfolio, we'd be looking at another, 20 to 30% decline in the S&P, and I scale in over the next 3 weeks with this further 20 to 30% decline, and then I'm fully deployed. So I'm actually pricing in, a good another leg down in the markets, and that's why I only deployed 5% of my available capital. What about Square? Square is the number 2 stock that I've been looking at to try and potentially invest in. I haven't bought any yet because I think Square, unlike Peloton, will actually see a material negative effect from this virus, because think about it. No small businesses can stay open. Like, all the cafes are shutting down. Like, this is like the crux of the weak point, the service industry, small businesses that Square caters to. And so I think Square is actually significantly at risk. That's why their stock's been getting hit. They also have Cash App that can hedge them. But I do think Square's business will get hit significantly, and that's why I've been staying away from the stock. I personally will start nibbling on Square in the 20s, I think, unless things get way worse or things get better and the stock hasn't moved. But I'm still, Square doesn't feel like I'm not pumped enough about the valuation, although this morning I did spend like 20 minutes looking at all of their options for 2022. So that's what it is. Spotify is another one I'm looking at. The stock has not gone down really at all. They have a really cheap price sales ratio for what I think is an amazing business, really good growth, huge long-term potential to really become the digital internet record label that we desperately need, honestly, democratize the ability to sell music and monetize that and build a relationship with fans. I just think Spotify is touching on a huge opportunity long-term. Oh, I have a crazy stock that I've been thinking about that is just like an off-the-wall pick that I'm curious what y'all think. Casper, the mattress startup. I have a Casper. I love my Casper. It's like a really awesome mattress. They IPO'd. They were like this unicorn worth like $1 billion something. They IPO'd. They were trying to IPO at 20. That was already taking a hit. They couldn't. They got the IPO out the door at like $12. Now the stock is like $5 or something ridiculous. I think they're at like 0.5 times price sales. They're still growing. They're not profitable. They have an amazing product. I think they're actually, yes, there's a million direct-to-consumer mattress startups, but I think Casper was like one of the first ones. They're doing it right. The direct-to-consumer mattress startup there's a lot of competition there because it's a huge opportunity to disrupt an industry that we all need. Beds, we all sleep every day. We're all trying to improve the quality of our sleep constantly. I think that's a big societal problem. We're tens and tens of billions. That if Casper can emerge, get through this rough time, actually, I think several of these DTC mattress startups will be multi-billion-dollar companies in the long run. I think Casper has a great chance of being that company. And I don't know, that's a company I would love to get in touch with their management with, especially because they just pulled off an IPO, so they probably have a ton of cash. They're going to get this huge punch in the face because of this recession and the fact that their IPO crumbled. That's going to mean they're going to have to get super lean, super efficient, fire everybody that hasn't been putting in work, and that is going to turn that into an incredible business. And at the same time, the equity value will be at an all-time low while they go through this reorg. I think Casper could be like 100-bagger if they actually pull it off and execute from these levels. But it's just like such a fly on the wall, like so much competition, losing money, like everybody hates it. So that's a really shout out to Julian, actually, my friend who's told me about that one. But Casper's on my list. I'm checking it out. I kind of want to buy like a super tiny amount of shares just to like, I don't know. I have my Casper and I love it. They're getting into the dog bed market. We all know millennials want to spend just as much on their pets, if not more, than on themselves. So 100-bagger. Let's be real. Let's talk about that though. Am I joking? 200 million market cap times 100. Okay, we're looking at $20 billion. I mean, mattresses if you're the world's leading mattress company internationally, you're selling a bunch of different pillows, bedded relating products, different, I don't know, like an app that tracks your sleep as well, that's integrated with your mattress, that is like teaches you how to sleep. I mean, to me, this is a multi-tens of billion, like a 10 plus billion dollar opportunity. Okay, let's call it a 50-bagger potential. We'll settle on that for Casper. Anyway, what's innovative about Casper? I don't know. I've watched their YouTube channel. Maybe it's just a gimmick, but they have like the sleep lab and I don't know. I just think Casper, like I have the product and I think they actually put science behind it, and it's like not that simple, or it's not that like fancy of a business or technology business, even though they try and make it seem like one. Like they're all like, ooh, look at my purple mattress with this material versus this material. Like, I don't know. I think it's just about execution. Can you deliver the product? Can you have good customer service? Can you make it cheap? My back was hurting because I used to have a super bad mattress. I clicked in 2 seconds, ordered my Casper, got it the same night, slept amazing ever since. I've had it for like 2 or 3 years, like love my Casper. So Beyond Meat, not Beyond Meat because I just think their burgers are whack, frankly, compared to the Impossible Burger. Like, I've done so many. I filmed the taste test video with Kevin. We should redo this. That was like super good, like 3 or 4 months ago. And then like the memory card got lost. It kind of sucked, but so we couldn't put it out. But the Impossible Burger is just way better than the Beyond Burger, even though I want them both to succeed. But I actually looked into trying to buy stock in Impossible Foods. Starlink and SpaceX. I've been working on that like behind the scenes, but to be honest, the private markets and VC world is totally dried up, and like come to a screeching halt with all of this market correction. Okay, this is fun. I want more stocks. Snapchat. Kevin actually bought Snapchat, but I'm like, I just don't use Snapchat. I love the spectacles. Actually, have my Snap 3 spectacles right here, which I love. I love this product, and I think Snap's killing it here, but this isn't enough to make me buy the stock. Like, I just don't use Snapchat. I don't know. I'm not cool enough, and like, I just have to like. I feel like, yeah, I would have to. Twitter is another one that I want to buy because I love Twitter stock and I love the product. I'm on Twitter constantly and I see massive potential for Twitter. I made a couple of videos about it. You all hate my Twitter videos apparently, but I just think it's so interesting and like, I don't know. I think Twitter's a fascinating company yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. But another one that's just not cheap enough. No one uses Snapchat. Oh, this is clowning. Arcimoto. So Arcimoto, I wish I had an Arcimoto right now to be cruising around Manhattan because that would be epic. Mark Frohmeyer, if you're listening. Use my code Arcimoto. If you are buying an Arcimoto, use the code Hyperchange and tell them to hook you up because I need to get referrals so I can get one, or I'm hoping to. But I love Arcimoto, the product, the three-wheeled electric vehicle, changing the idea that we don't need massive cars. The footprint of vehicles is too much. Cheaper, cleaner, faster way to get around cities. I love the just the courage and bravery to come out with such a bold new product in such a difficult business just because you want to change the world and make emissions go down. I am like the biggest fan of Arcimoto, and that's why I own stock in them. And a huge, like I would consider Mark Frohmeyer a friend of mine, like such a great company. Have I bought stock recently? No, because I don't know. I think they're just going to go through a really difficult time, and they're at a really if there's one thing I learned about Tesla and studying Tesla constantly, it's that making vehicles and manufacturing complex hardware in-house, vertically integrated in the United States is an extremely difficult business. And to run profitably, to last through recessions, it's just a really, for a high return on capital, it's just an extremely difficult business. So I'm taking that learning and thinking, well, Arcimoto needs to de-risk their production ramp a little bit more, and I would like to see them have a bigger cash cushion as well, which is ironic because they can't, they don't want to raise cash because their stock's too low, and then everyone's freaking out because they don't have enough cash, so their stock's too low. It's a really difficult sort of catch-22 situation with them. Illumina, I think Illumina's dope. I don't know too much about them because I don't like to comment on things where like it's a genetics testing company, even though both my parents are like in that world. It's just, I don't know enough about it. But I do think companies like that, rock solid balance sheets, incredibly profitable, really good businesses where like genetic testing, that's going to be the future, of course. So, betting on these companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, these are all like companies that I would be thinking about buying if I like was a more boring investor. But I actually am thinking about buying a little Google. That's one of my favorite big caps because I think they represent AI, like Google Maps, Gmail, YouTube. I love all their products. So that's a big cap I've been thinking about buying. Virgin Galactic. Oh, so I've been doing a ton of research on space, Virgin Galactic, because a ton of you requested that. And I love that Chamath is involved. I hate the valuation. I don't want to bet on a business that's just people having fun. I don't know. Actually, as I say that, I'm like, that does sound like a business I would want to support. And it's like exploring, sending humans to space. But like, what is the business behind it other than just people want to pay a lot of money to like post on their Instagram about how they went to space? Like, that doesn't seem like a $5 billion business. And is it going to easily turn into a $50 billion business? Like I modeled out how many trips, like these guys are going to have to be doing a ton of trips to space to be making enough money. And like, I'm scared of heights, so I don't want to do that. So I don't know. Anyway, Amazon is an interesting one, hiring 100,000 people. I think they're going to crush it and structurally benefit from this social distancing, from this quarantine. Everyone's ordering everything online. Every technical service that everyone's relying on runs on AWS. Whole Foods is like the only grocery store open around. I think Amazon is going to actually structurally do well from this. Supersonic travel on Earth. That's okay. So you're right. I should have mentioned that. That's going to be in my video. I'm going to do a whole video on that. I promise. I just gotten distracted with all this new content. But if you're going to make point-to-point rocket travel on Earth, an actually financially viable business, then I think you need to have a huge lead and frankly advance significantly reusable rocket technology. The company that I see at the forefront of doing that would be SpaceX. And even SpaceX with that idea has said there's a huge problem of like this supersonic boom or super loud sound. And so that's why they aren't even pursuing that idea as rapidly as they thought. And so I believe if A, you're going to have point-to-point supersonic rocket travel on Earth, then easily that is going to be a business that SpaceX will dominate. And I don't see Virgin Galactic as having enough core competency in that rocket technology to be able to compete with something like space. Like, I don't want to invest in a company whose actually entire valuation rests on beating Elon Musk to market and defeating his technology. Is that a company I want to invest in? Probably not. So, and I don't like this like triage of like, I don't know if I'm actually saying that word right, but this like trifecta of managers. So you got Chamath, who's the chairman. You got Richard Branson, who they're going to send to space, who's like the billionaire iconic guy who started it. But then you actually have a different guy who's the CEO who's running it. They all seem competent, and I love Chamath, but it's like, I want one CEO. I want an owner, operator, founder, visionary who's doing the work, who's running the company every day. That it's just like, yeah. Anyway, that was a good question. Do we have any more stocks that you'd like me to cover? Hi. Coca-Cola. You know what I call Coca-Cola? A GMO mixed with a fossil fuel. Not that I have anything against GMOs structurally. I just think a lot of GMOs means supporting Monsanto, which is monocrop farming, and I hate that. So, yeah, Coca-Cola. I think the world needs to get off of Coca-Cola. I'm such a big, like, I hate big soda. And the fact that you go into like a grocery, you want to know a good startup? So I think the beverage industry is something that I used to invest in a lot. Shout out to Jones Soda and Reed's. But I think the beverage industry, if y'all are entrepreneurs thinking about startups, is ripe for billions and billions of dollars. Go into a 7-Eleven or any grocery store. Every beverage, first of all, has way too much sugar. They have like 35, 40 grams of sugar. The average sugar you should be having per day is like 25 grams for the whole day for everything. And you're getting like double that in every beverage. Or it's sugar-free. And it's like sugar-free sucks. Like, put a little bit of sugar. So I think there's a huge opportunity to just literally replace everything every single person on the world, like 90% of the world is drinking. Mountain Dew, Sprite, Coca-Cola, every single old soda should be replaced. It's not artisanal. It's not good for you. There's way too much sugar in it. The entire way and okay, that's just the product. The packaging is another massive area of innovation. Think about it. There's so much plastic. It's all single use. This is why I love beverages. I literally actively do not want a beverage sponsor for the channel, even though I've thought about it sometimes because I'm always like drinking something like dope sponsorship. But I'm like, no, because I don't want to support a product that if the whole world uses, we're just going to ruin the planet. And that's what beverages are doing. Like, there's just bottles everywhere. That's what I think about Coca-Cola. If there was one reason I would buy Coca-Cola stock, it's to buy their stock and launch a massive campaign that they need to be pumping billions of dollars into R&D to figure out how to reduce the amount of plastic waste, because they're pumping out, I don't even know how many billions of plastic bottles every year Coca-Cola is pumping out. I hate Coca-Cola the more I think about it. So I think there's huge innovation for people to reinvent the way we distribute beverages. Not single use, not plastic. And it's a really hard problem that I've thought about a ton. Are water bottles the answer? Like, for some reason that never takes off. Straws, just everything. I think, well, this is a broader thing for packaged foods in general, but I think this is my rant on the beverage industry, I'm almost over, but I think there's massive opportunity to reinvent what we drink and how we drink it, and in 10 or 20 years, they will not be the same. We will not be using single-use stuff. We will not be drinking crappy soda, and there are going to be new billion-dollar of companies that have been created on the back of this trend. So, I don't know. SodaStream. So I actually interviewed the CEO of SodaStream in like 2011 on Seeking Alpha when I was in, I think I was an NYU freshman, and you can go read that. SodaStream, I was a huge believer in them because I actually thought they would solve this problem, but they just didn't, and they didn't execute, and the product wasn't that good. I don't know. It's a bummer. This is why yeah. Okay. Any other stock? Let's talk about some good companies. Disney, Simply Drink Water. That's clowning. Alibaba, I don't know. Something interesting going on in China. It's like, how are there no new cases? They're kicking out US reporters. I don't know. I'm skeptical I just don't like what I don't know, so that's why I wouldn't buy Alibaba. Tesla, I'm waiting to buy Tesla at, got the Tesla pin. I'm waiting to buy Tesla personally until like, I'm hoping it goes to the 200s. because the market tanks another 10 or 20%. Because frankly, like, I don't know, at 400 per share, like, we're at like 80 billion or 70 billion market cap. Like, for that to 10 bagger and be 700 or 800 billion, I think Tesla's a solid 5 years of execution. I think I can get a 10 bagger faster in other companies at this price. That is why I'm not deploying all. And I just have so much Tesla stock. Like, my entire portfolio / net worth is like still 75% Tesla. Like, so that's why I haven't actually bought more Tesla stock. But, and I just think like my average Tesla price is like 250. Stocks, you know what I mean? Like, I'm already, yeah. So anyway, I'm waiting to buy more Tesla. Uber and Lyft are in a very interesting position. I think the next phase of government bailout could be talking about Uber and Lyft, because if public infrastructure shuts down for like buses and trains and the subway, how do we get around Uber and Lyft? But Uber and Lyft are basically losing money on every ride, or is this going to be the new traction they need to make them profitable? I think Uber and Lyft are in a really interesting position now with this new normal and trend. Super chat, Dylan, thank you for the hot dog emoji. NVIDIA, don't know enough about them. DocuSign, don't know enough about them. Boeing, I think, oh, shout out to my roommate Leo, because he was been talking to me about Airbus, which for more of you boring investors out there, I think is a very interesting, compelling case right now, where they have a huge long backlog, although some of that counterparty risk, because some airlines could go under, but I think those airlines will get saved. The people are going to keep flying. Airbus is an extremely well-run company, way better product. Boeing sucks, but both stocks are down. Boeing's down more, but yeah, so I think Airbus is a fascinating company to look at right now. Cruise stocks, never been a fan of cruises, so not gonna do that. Slack, Slack would be a good one. I just think Slack's kind of annoying and doesn't have as strong of a moat as people think. CRISPR. Oh, I watched this channel and I like this video. Thanks, Thaddeus. Appreciate that. CRISPR, I don't know enough about CRISPR. So that's another thing that I would you know. Okay, so it's like, oh, all these other companies are cheap. CRISPR, like everyone loves to say CRISPR. And nobody if you're not a scientist, you should not be investing in CRISPR companies. If you're not on the cutting edge front lines of doing DNA research, and this is a microcosm for everything, you should not be investing in that company. That's why I like to invest in consumer facing things, because I'm a consumer and basically an expert as a potential user of that product, or, you know, I can see that brand in real time. I'm the purchaser behind that brand. That is so important, because, oh, thanks for the ice cream emoji. Because it's like, if you don't have that insight, you can't see it. Like, if you've never even run an experiment yourself, or like gone through the FDA clinical trial process, or studied hundreds of companies that have, for you to think you can pick which CRISPR company is going to win and get to market first and actually be profitable, like, if you don't understand the science, I think you're joking yourself. You're doing like that. I've had to learn that lesson. I didn't learn that lesson until I was investing for like 8 or 10 years. I'll just briefly tell a story. This company called Attunity, which I invested in for so long, actually made money on, and it worked. They got bought out, I think. But like, their whole thing was like big data, the cloud. We're moving data between clouds. This hybrid cloud environment's going to take off. But like, I've never been a CIO investing in a multi-million-dollar contract to reinvent my cloud infrastructure. So I don't know what's going on behind that purchasing decision. I don't know what the true competitive dynamics are. I don't want to go off that Gartner Magic Quadrant. And I like traded it wrong. I lost some money on it, even though the company did well. And I learned my lesson, which was that, like, unless you truly do not understand things. And I think the rule is so easy. If you are not a customer or potential customer of that product, you should not be investing in that. Or like, I don't know, that's a high level rule that I have. And that's why I don't comment on like CRISPR, or I'd love to have experts who know about that come on the channel. So if you have that, please suggest, but otherwise I don't like to comment on those things. Okay, do you have any more questions? XPEL, ooh, I'm definitely looking at XPEL, which is the small cap. I put out a bunch of videos on them. Incredibly well-run company, crushed it, unbelievable Q4. They're going to suffer. Their suffering is all microcap suffering. I think that's going to be a really good business that does well. Square, do I trust ARK on CRISPR? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not entirely, honestly. Oh, Tesla Q1 and Q2 expectations. Keith, crushing it. We should getting us back to the hot topic at hand here. Tesla. So we're going to get deliveries in a couple days here. First of all, I think, did you read the leaked thing from Clean Technica that Elon Musk is saying they're going to deliver 1,000 ventilators and has 250,000 masks? I think there's going to be a big announcement soon about Tesla repurposing their factory for ventilators. Going to be some really good press, and just an awesome feel-good story that Tesla's leveraging their assets, like what we did in the World Wars, repurposing factories to help out, build medical equipment. People don't realize Tesla has a huge, I was actually going to make a whole video about this, a huge core competency in HVAC systems relative to all other automakers, which makes them most positioned to actually build the ventilator, not to mention the fact that they're the most innovative company and they can just move faster and think on their feet faster than any of these legacy automakers. But so Tesla originally, they got the Lotus car, they reinvented it, try to make it electric, but I'm pretty sure the way normal AC works, they're taking heat from the engine, but there's no engine because it's electric, so they had to reinvent this custom new HVAC system. And so Tesla's ever since then basically done all their HVAC, heating, ventilation, AC system work in-house. And so that now that expertise is literally landing on their lap as like the expertise everyone needs to make these ventilators, or it's a related expertise. Additionally, SpaceX makes like life support equipment. And so I think Tesla is uniquely positioned to really help here if there is indeed a shortage of medical equipment. And that is going to be something that's going to get announced next week. And that's just going to be really interesting. Yeah, Elon just tweeted he met with Medtronic engineering team. So really cool stuff behind the scenes on that level. From Tesla business standpoint, Q1 and Q2, I think we're going to be looking at a really weak Q1. I think it's a little bit of a red flag. They didn't tell us how much cash they had on hand exactly when they put out the press release, but we know they had 8.6 billion in cash at the end of Q4. My guess is they're probably down to 6.5 billion in cash at least. And I think shutting down the factory, there's going to be one-time costs. If they can somehow leverage those workers who now are working on ventilators and get them, they won't make money on the ventilators, but they can at least pay the workers so that Tesla doesn't have to lose all that money. That could be offsetting some of this losses. But then at the same time, like, I don't know, Q1 and Q2, who cares? Tesla's going to crush it. They're going to get back to record sales eventually. But while the world economy is going to shut down, they're going to be losing money. The question is, can Tesla be shut down for 6 months and stay alive? Yes. That's why I made that video. That's why Gene Munster and Pierre Ferragut, the two smartest people on Wall Street, traditional Wall Street, covering this, say Tesla's going to be fine. Tesla Daily. If you're in the know and reading Tesla's balance sheet, you know their financial health has never been stronger, unlike every other automaker. That's why their stock's outperforming. And Tesla is going to be in great position to come out of this extremely strong. I've been thinking more and more about, look at the air, look at the water. Everything is getting crystal clear and super clean now that the global economy is totally shut down because of Corona. Oh, I shouldn't have said it. But but it's like, okay, so maybe this will wake people up to like, how much are we polluting? We're literally driving around these pollution machines every single day, and our cities and our sky is ugly and our water's dirty, and like we stopped and everything's beautiful and clean and nature's loving us again. Like maybe we should rethink this whole how fast we're moving to electric vehicles thing. So I think this could be a huge catalyst for electric vehicles. So anyway, someone needs to disrupt YouTube. I don't know. I think YouTube is like the coolest thing ever. I'm a big fan. Okay, a couple more stocks. Cloudflare, don't know it well enough. Oh, crypto. So I've actually been buying crypto. That's the other thing I've been slowly buying a little bit of, is increasing my Bitcoin position, because I have over a Bitcoin and I've been slowly nibbling, because I think in the future, Bitcoin will be digital gold. It will be an inflation hedge. Every government you'll see going around negative interest rate policy, massive overnight repo funding, massive printing money, stimulus, Fed. This is the Bitcoin thesis. This is the fiat crisis paper is doomed, money is doomed thesis that every Bitcoin investor has been waiting for. So I've been scaling in my Bitcoin, and even though it's been hurting, and my roommate Leo is giving me crap because he's like, I told you Bitcoin was a risk-on asset, and I'm like, well, there's two crises happening right now. So yes, I love Bitcoin. It's the number 2 position I have behind Tesla. I think there's a chance it could fail. It's super risky, but I love the idea it represents. And I think low-key, there is a health crisis going on right now, and that is what's taking the news. But there is also an economic crisis unfolding in the background in the debt markets, and that's something I want to make a lot more content about. And I think that underlying financial crisis, which has been triggered by this health crisis, is something that will is driving the fundamental thesis of Bitcoin in the right direction. And so, yeah. The Bitcoin energy use thing, I've talked about this a lot. It's just humans need a way. We're monkeys and we work and we get value. Okay, so how do we store that value from our work? This is one of the most important things of the economy. It's money, currency, storing value over time. So the ability for humans to store value over time is a need that we will have in perpetuity, at least that's what I think. And so I think we will have to dedicate a significant portion of our energy usage to ensuring an efficient mechanism to transfer value over time. And that, to me, Bitcoin, yeah, it uses a lot of energy, but it also performs an extremely important and critical function. if it takes off. And yes, our energy usage as a species will continue to go up. That's why it's so important we have renewable energy. That's why I'm a big investor in Tesla and renewable energy technology, because we need to go green, because our energy demand is only going to go through the roof, because there's going to be more and more population, and things like Bitcoin are going to keep popping up that are new uses for energy. So anyway, that's my rant on that. I use Coinbase. I should be giving you my Coinbase code because we can each get $10. Oh, solar panel company. None of you have said this, but SolarEdge. This is a company that they've been crushing it. And they're down a little bit. They haven't even gone down that much, but I think that's another company that's very interesting. Oh, thanks for that super chat. Let's see what your question was. Consumers only strat is weird if research codes can be good. Wouldn't have liked Maxwell. Path to product may not be obvious. Don't have to be CIO to research. Okay, so you don't have to be the customer of everything. Otherwise, that would rule out like a bazillion companies that are B2B. That's a great point. But I think at a rule of thumb for those noobs out there, invest in a store you understand. But like, there's no better way to learn about a company than investing in them and then just being hooked and reading all their press releases, listening to all their conference calls, bugging the company constantly until they pick up your phone or your phone call. Like, these are all like, I think there's no better way to learn about a company than actually be invested and like literally just follow the case study of that business in real time. That's what every company is. You should look at every company and situation as a business case study. And the only way to get better at investing in economics is by studying more and more case studies. That's why I'm like, you shouldn't go to school. If you're getting your MBA, like you're literally wasting your time. There's the greatest like thing you could learn from ever right now, which is just the internet and the stock market and companies and their earnings calls. You want to learn about business? Hop on Apple's earnings call. Hop on Tesla's earnings call. Hop on Facebook's earnings call. You'll figure out what is happening in the world, how the biggest companies are run, how they're positioning themselves, how they think about the future, what they're spending their cash on. I think like, if I always said like, if you were an alien or like, let's say I was like, oh, there's this crazy alien society. How do we analyze them? Let's get into their equity markets. What is their companies that are most valued? Which spaceship makers are priced at a 10 times price sales ratio versus spaceship makers that are priced at a 2 times? Because the 10 times one is the Tesla of that society because it's growing 10 times faster. And they have the Elon Musk alien who's actually running that company. Like, I don't know, kind of a weird analogy, but my whole point is like the amount, I just think people underestimate how fascinating understanding a company's financial situation is and how much insight you can really learn from that and what the market tells you. And I'm a student of the game. I just think this is all so interesting. Apple, unbelievable company, so well run, so much cash, not going out of business. I hope they're buying back a gazillion shares during this. Apple is an amazing investment, frankly. They may have to reinvent some of their supply chain, moving it to the US as we like sort of do this nationalization trend that I think could unfold as a result of this and just happen over a couple years. So maybe that could be a structural decline in profit in the near term. But I think Apple, in the long run, one of the most fascinating and low-key, nobody's saying about this about Apple. What did Tim Cook say they want to be known for in 10 years? A health company. What is the problem that's going on right now with the virus, the illness? Healthcare systems suck. They're not modernized. They're not digitized. They're not built for the internet. They're not just, healthcare is a massive, it's like there's that saying of like, it's a big hairy problem. Healthcare is the big hairy problem that like, I feel like my generation is like gearing up to tackle. And I think Apple saying they want to be a health company and this big hairy problem, this is like the most exciting thing we have. Amazon, JP Morgan, Berkshire launching that alliance to try and get into healthcare. Like, yeah, I think that's going to be huge too. But I think Apple has a huge chance to do more and more ECG testing, more and more testing with their devices, integrating it. Okay, you want to hear a crazy idea? I've been saving this up for like an April Fool's episode, but the eye dump. I think Apple, if they designed a smart, hear me out. If they designed a smart toilet that analyzed your stool and gave you all this health data, there's already a bunch of health tests they can do with that, analyzing your stool. Are you too dehydrated? How should you be changing your diet? What diseases are you starting to get? You could be testing all of this, give all these people all this crazy data. If Apple and like integrated with your iPhone, integrated with, it's when you think about the way we're doing it now, it's like this is barbaric to what's going to happen. We're just putting no effort into thinking about the data of that situation. And I know that's kind of like an interesting tangent. Anyway, Apple and health. So that's a Moonshot Monday, the eye dump. Don't steal that before I put out that video, please. But I think Apple's in health is going to be huge. They have a huge opportunity there. I really hope they reinvent this whole insurance system because it's just whack. And more testing from devices. I don't know. So anyway, my point about Apple is I don't think their growth is done. I think we're becoming cyborgs, and right now our method of choice to be a cyborg is to have the iPhone as our like computing device. And I don't see that changing. I see Apple continuing to be the de facto personal computing device manufacturer for humans, or for, you know, a strata of wealthy humans for decades maybe, and that's a business that could be worth several trillion. You start layering in health, you start layering what if they do something in the automobile world, you start, you know, what happens next with the smart glasses. I think Apple actually has more growth than people give it, and just because it's $1 trillion company, people think it's like as big as it's ever going to get. It's like, no, we're going to have, you know, $5 trillion companies in 5 to 7 years, and it's going to be Google, Amazon, Apple, and, you know, I don't know, I think there's going to be a $10 trillion company in, you know, 15 years. And so Apple could still 10-bagger. That's all I'm saying, especially if they buy back an absurd amount of stock right now, although it's going to take a while. And they can't get disrupted. They don't have Steve Jobs. That's like breaking my #1 rule. It's like the owner, operator, founder isn't there. Tim Cook's done a dope job, though. Okay. Any more ideas? I feel like this is going really well. Qualcomm. I don't know much about Qualcomm. Not a consumer business. Shopify. Okay, Shopify's valuation is insane. I don't get it. And their growth rate's been slowing. So I think, but they are the anti-Amazon. And so I think there's a lot of weight to that. I think Amazon might try and buy Shopify. I don't know. Shopify is really, really interesting because they're the anti-Amazon. They're, you know, letting people sell online. But I just don't get the valuation, frankly. So I don't know. Do I speak Italian? Yes. Parlo italiano. I want to make a video about Tesla in Italy in Italian, that'll be like super meta. Square, I've talked about Square, not cheap enough, love it. Apple to buy Disney for content. That is fascinating. I kind of like that idea. Although I also don't like Apple getting into content. It's like, Apple, just do what you do. Be the platform. Don't try and get into the content game. The media business sucks. I think Netflix is going to find that out. Match stock is hitting on a trend that I could not be more certain of, which is that humans are going to date not in person and they're dating on the apps, Tinder, Hinge. Huge believer that is the future. Match has extremely poor corporate governance, in my opinion. They were owned by ISC, spun out with some weird covenants, had too much debt. I just don't like the way that company is managed structurally, but I think the product is good. Got a super chat. Thanks for that. What site do you buy your stocks? Vanguard, although I just opened up a Merrill Edge. I think using an app to store your net worth that doesn't make money, that is venture backed, that has never lived through a downturn, like Robinhood, is like the dumbest idea ever. That's why I've never opened up a Robinhood account, because like, yeah. What's a good martial law stock play? I think Peloton's not a bad one, because I think a lot of people are going to be needing to work out from home. And Zoom stock, I mean, Zoom's going to crush it. Blue Apron, I think Blue Apron's not a very well-run company. SIPC protected, though. Okay, yeah, that's the Robinhood thing. Good luck trying to get your money back from SIPC after Robinhood goes under. Have fun with that. Moderna. So they're a really interesting high-value market cap biotech. Again, not my wheelhouse. Illumina or Beyond Meat. I've already talked about both those. I think Illumina is a great company. I think Beyond Meat doesn't make a good burger. Should Apple merge with Tesla? No, because Elon Musk needs true autonomy. And I think it's getting tougher and tougher for them to afford them. I'm not... Ian, what's up? Thanks for the super chat. I'm not buying Tesla right now, or Arcimoto. Wait, was that Arcimoto? Yeah, I'm not buying Arcimoto because I already talked about this, but I just think there's a lot of execution risk and they don't have enough on their balance sheet. I'm not selling my Arcimoto stock, though. Any more questions? This has been going on for a while. Thinking of hanging up. CRISPR, Editas, don't know enough about it. Lower gas will slightly slow the adoption of electric vehicles, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Enphase Energy, they're like Solar Edge, these two solar supply companies crushing it. I think that's really interesting. All right, I'm trying to keep up with all your questions. Facebook. I would not touch Facebook, even though they have a huge balance sheet. They're not going anywhere because I don't think the product's as sticky as people think. And I just think Zuckerberg's evil. Like, I've been reading this book, and Bitcoin Billionaires. and it talks about the Winklevi and how they like are trying to make money on Bitcoin, and talks about what Zuck did at Facebook, and like Zuckerberg just sounds straight up evil. Like, I don't know. And I think the morals of Facebook, so I don't like their morals. I like to invest in a future I believe in. That's a rule I've been holding myself to more and more. Like, really think about what is the world these companies are building in. Maybe it's a good note to end it on. It's like, and that is what I want to put my money in. Like, when the times are great, when everything's booming again, what companies 5 years from now are going to be running the world, are going to be dominating, are going to have expanded everywhere? When I think about it, I think of Peloton. I think there's going to be all these fancy workout machines everywhere. They're going to be super nice. Everyone's going to be doing these online classes, getting super fit while they're also working from home. And I just think Peloton is scratching the surface of a huge, huge market. When I think about companies that I see taking over the world, Square, everyone doing everything on Cash App, them expanding with 1 million more services and features. I see that happening. Yeah, and so that's kind of what I've really been trying to think about, is which companies will survive. A, do you have a balance sheet to get through this if it gets way worse? B, when this all gets better and when the future happens again, like will you be a dominant player? Is your product relevant? I think too many people get caught up in like the PE ratio and like just looking at cheap companies that aren't actually good. I think it's worth it. I'm in the boat of like, okay, all these great companies I wanted were super expensive, and I was just paying a premium for every stock I was buying. But now it's like, I feel like you can buy a really crappy business at a really, really cheap price, or you can buy an amazing business at a fair price. And that's what I feel like for Peloton. Like, I finally feel like I'm paying like a fair price for Peloton, and I think it's an amazing business. But I do think we could go below fair price level, and then things will keep going down. So that is what it is. Deployed 5% of my capital. We'll see what happens next week. This is going to get crazy. Ford is going to go bankrupt, I think, without a bailout. And I think maybe before 2023. This is another video I'm going to put out. They just withdraw their dividend, which is way too long. Every Ford executive was so stoked when this virus broke out. They were like, finally, a macroeconomic reason for us to cut our dividend, because they needed to do this so bad. Like, and if you look, we've been adding them to hypercharts as well. Shout out to Mo for that. They've been doing, if you look at Ford and GM on hypercharts, go to that right now, you will literally see their operating income's already negative. These are banks structured with like they're loaning people money for these auto leases that are backed by the internal combustion engine. This is a house of cards. They're going to make a Netflix dirty money episode about these lending practices, about how GM and Ford, America's two biggest behemoths, went bankrupt and crumbled instantly. That's going to be my prediction, frankly. I think these companies are toast. And I think they were literally losing money and on such thin ice. If you go look at their operating income quarterly before this happened, this is and I think the inevitable was them going bankrupt. Frankly, a very good chance. So I think they might get bailed out. I guess that's what happened last time. So Tesla Battery Day is going to come up. That will enable Tesla, great segue, to scale their battery production, make millions of cars per year. They just announced their millionth car. That's a huge deal. When things come roaring back, which factory really gets opened? Which factories are booming a year from now? Tesla's factories. GM's and Ford's might not even still be open. That's kind of how I'm thinking this plays out. My growth investor, I am so growth. My portfolio, I've said a million times, I'm not a financial advisor. Not financial advice. Nothing on my channel is. But my personal investing philosophy is a radical risk. I believe you don't have confidence in your own ability if you are not concentrating in like a couple stocks all in, and you're young, then I don't know what you're doing. Like, to me, diversification is for people who have no idea what they're doing, or are just really old and want to preserve wealth. But if you want to build wealth, I think you should radically concentrate. That's what I do. I have like 80% of my capital in one position. If a company's making money, I'm not buying it. You serious? No, I'm joking. I'm down for them companies to make money, but I want companies that are growing rapidly, that have not matured, that are nowhere near tapping out their addressable market in terms of growth, margin structure, product lineup. I want companies that are going to be growing for years to come, led by owner, operator, founders, visionaries who I see disrupting huge industries, tackling problems that I myself can understand. Casper, fixing sleep, making sleep better. Peloton, getting people in better shape. Tesla, freedom, getting you from A to B without the guilt of fossil fuel emissions, having more fun while doing it, being safer while doing it too. These are things I get, that I need, that I think, that I think the future are inevitable, that get better. And the companies that I see making these aspects of life better, I think are the ones I'm picking right now. And so, yeah, I'll let you all know if I deploy more of my capital, but for now it's just Peloton. I think Peloton, Somebody help me get in touch with Peloton. Like, I feel like nobody takes me seriously. It's so frustrating because I'm like, yo, like, there's 1,000 people on this live stream right now, which is crazy. Thank you all for tuning in. But I'm like, Peloton, like, they'll talk all day to some random private investor who nobody cares about, and or like some bank who puts out a report that nobody reads. And then I'm like, I have thousands of people watching my show, a ton of whom either own your stock or are thinking about buying your stock, and this will be free financial analysis on your company, spreading the word for free, like to young investors. Like, how do you not like even like give me like 10 minutes of your time? But a lot of companies still don't get it. I'm hoping that'll change soon. But yeah, so I'm hoping, trying to get an intro to Peloton is what I'm saying. Oh, Peloton. I mean, I kind of feel that. I've been doing the push-up workout at home since my gym closed, and like I'm like, who needs the gym, yo? Like push-ups, old school. Like, Peloton, ticker PTON. Yeah, I think Peloton, they have the bike, they have the tread. They're gonna keep coming out with more machines. They're gonna make. I think they're gonna come out with like way cheaper versions. Double down on that subscription class product. Apparently, they're gonna get into like yoga too, which could be huge. Okay, I'm gonna take a couple more questions. Why Peloton when workout machines have been done forever? I don't know, but I'm gonna let the data. I'm letting the data tell me that. Why is this growing like 100%? Why are people who have never bought a workout machine buying it and saying they use it all the time and they love it and it's different? I think a big part of it is just the packaging, the all-in-one, the classes, the digital thing, that it just works, the it being premium. I think they just sort of found this amazing product market fit and tackled an industry that had been stagnant, that wasn't direct to consumer. I think almost every industry that hasn't been reinvented with a direct to consumer, digital first, internet brand that actually uses this thing called software and the internet that got invented 20 years ago, every other workout machine was built in the 80s or whatever, So I think it seems like these are boring industries, but software is eating the world, technology is eating the world. I really feel like the home workout has not been digitized. And I see Peloton as much as a hardware bike company, as much as I do an internet company, because they're going direct to consumer, super light retail footprint, super capital efficient, doing all their marketing online, this virtual subscription model with the classes, structurally more profitable than any other workout machine has ever been. I mean, you start to really think through how this is a different business and the opportunity, this is, I don't know. I think, yeah, it's just a workout machine, but I think it's also not. It's a lifestyle, bro. All right, any more questions? Stitch Fix. I don't know. I'm not that into fashion, so. All right, smart toilet company, the iDump idea that's somewhere in this live stream, man, that is a good one. And yeah, I'm not buying Ethereum because I don't think it's built to accrue in value as much as Bitcoin. So, okay, one more super chat. Let's do this. Should Elon get Tesla network so laid off Tesla owners can make money using their Teslas? I don't know. That's too weird of I don't know. I think there's too many health risks with running that right now. Who knows if Uber and Lyft will be able to operate? I do think Tesla's network, their ride-sharing network, like version of Uber and Lyft, will actually get off the ground soon. And they will do it with human drivers. So I do think that will be a thing, but I don't know how much it'll be related to this. Okay. Another super chat. Moonshot, Tesla should buy Peloton and make those bikes charge batteries, making energy a currency. I don't know. It sounds awesome. I'm gonna look into that. I will add that to my list of questions to ask Peloton when I talk to them. I promise. That was so funny. All right, I feel like I missed a super chat. I'm sorry. Oh no, Aaron, 6 billion market cap for indoor fitness bikes. It's lifestyle, bro. We covered this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna come out with a whole video about Peloton, so don't worry. These are actually great questions that y'all have. Thank you. Do I think Tesla will fall more? I'm hoping for it to fall more. All right, let me just collect my thoughts. I want to think of something to end this live stream with. Uncertainty. That is the only word that comes to mind when thinking about this current market situation. But at the same time, knowing that when you're feeling uneasy and freaking out and panic and fear and uncertainty is at its height, that is also the best time to invest. You have to like, I say like you have to believe in your companies. I get a lot of hate from people on Twitter. They're like, I'm an emotional investor. I would say I'm so like, yes, be in tune with your emotions, feel emotions, but also like be able to like argue with yourself and be outside of those emotions. And I think that's what I'm trying to do right now with this markets is be like, look, we're down 30%. I know the world seems like it's ending. I know New York could be like, we're shutting down quarantine tomorrow. I literally can't leave my apartment for a month. The world economy is shut down. Things get way worse. We fall another 30%. Like that could happen. But I think, that uncertainty is also a sign that, once the collective uncertainty reaches a peak, that is when the markets will reach their bottom, and that can happen far before the economic implications of this play out. The market can price in a lot of destruction before that destruction occurs. The question is how much destruction has been priced in, how much will occur, and balancing all these theories, scenarios, and risks, and figuring out what you want to do. So my strategy is I'm just going to be nibbling on all these little awesome assets that I love. I have my list of companies I want to buy at the price I want to buy, depending on the economic impact of this situation, monitoring that list, changing it accordingly, and then when something is a fit, bam, pulling the trigger and starting to add to these names. So that's my personal strategy here. Wishing you all the best of luck and hoping everybody stays healthy out there. Scary and crazy times. Thank you so much for tuning in though. This is so fun. I've been thinking about working on a new book because I did put out a book like 2 years ago and called Hyperchange, and I'm thinking about making a new book while this quarantine's happening. So yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, also, if you're in this live stream, I'm working on a rebrand for Hyperchange that is going so well behind the scenes. I want to give a shout out to Anthony, who's like helped me with the logo. It is looking so like you all are going to be blown away for what I'm working on for this rebrand. I'm so excited. It's going to be like Hyperchange 2.0. Like I'm so everything about the channel is going to be better. So I'm like really excited to share that with you all. So I just wanted to say that because I'm super pumped about it and we're working on it behind the scenes. Anyway, y'all are awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Peace.